Well, good day, folks. Welcome back to The Secret Solved. This is a series where I look at The Secret by Byron Price and try to determine what the authors were aiming at in 1982. Today, I'm talking about the Boogeyman. The Boogeyman, page 92 and page 93, otherwise known as Felis frigida. Felis frigida. Fellas? Frigida? Frigida. Yeah, I haven't quite figured out what that one actually means. But in talking about the Boogeyman, this one is pretty straightforward. Uh, the one guy most famously known for playing the saxophone in the time at which the book would have came out is Charlie Parker. Ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at Charlie Parker. Charlie Parker Jr. Uh, was born in 1920, died in 1955. So he died at a relatively young age, 35 years old. So he would be a teen angel. Well, not quite a teen angel, but he'd certainly be one of those that died young, right? So his nickname was the Bird, or Yardbird, and he was a jazz saxophonist, band leader, and composer. Okay, so a number of people who are involved in this treasure hunt have said that, the boogeyman's going to be Louis Armstrong. A little bit of music history lesson might be in order for those people. What instrument is the boogeyman playing? What instrument did Louis Armstrong play? Okay, let's just say that you're wrong, and that Charlie Parker Jr. is the boogeyman. So the Boogeyman, Charlie Parker, as highly influential soloist and leading figure in the development of bebop. He was characteristic as having virtuosic technique and advanced harmonies in the world of jazz. He played the alto saxophone. He was on the road with Jay McShann. That gave him the nickname Yardbird. And a number of Parker's compositions eventually were named Yardbird Suite and Ornithology, and Bird Gets the Worm, and Bird of Paradise. He was a hipster subculture icon and also an icon of the Beat Generation. He personified the jazz musician as an uncompromising artist. Okay, so we're talking about the Boogeyman. The Boogeyman is Parker Jr. He was born in Kansas City, Kansas, at 852 Freeman Avenue, and that he was raised in Kansas City, Missouri, near Westport. Went to high school there. His mother's name was Adelaide Addie Bailey, and she was a Choctaw and African American. And he attended Lincoln High School. So he began playing the saxophone at age 11. He joined the high school band. He studied under a few different people, and his in the mid 1930s, Parker practiced diligently, and he played with Count Basie, Benny Molin, and some other well-known musicians. In late spring of '36, Parker was playing at the Reno Club in Kansas City, and this is where Joe Jones and some other of the people. He took a cymbal off his drum set and he threw it at his feet as a signal to leave the stage. And rather than becoming discouraged, Parker just continued to improvise. So he had a near-death experience. Parker traveled from Kansas City to the Ozarks for the opening of a Clarence Musser's Tavern in Eldon, Missouri. Along the way, a caravan of musicians had a car accident, and Parker broke 3 ribs and fractured his spine. The accident led to his ultimate troubles with painkillers and opioids, and he struggled with drug use the rest of his life. And so he basically moved to New York City in '39 Became associated with some other bands. Played with Bobby Anderson, Earl Hines, uh, Dizzy Gillespie, Mary Lou Williams, just name a few. So his famous song was Cherokee, or and so and one night in '39 he was playing this, and the bebop, I guess, concept became invented from that. Um, he played Massey Hall in Toronto. So there's a little connection to the Canadian folks. He died pretty young in 1955. He was in his friend and patron Baroness Panucka D. Conan Schwarter at the Stanhope Hotel in New York, and he was watching the Dorsey Brothers stage show. The official cause of death was lobar pneumonia and a bleeding ulcer, but Parker had also had an advanced case of cirrhosis and had suffered a heart attack. The coroner performed the autopsy, mistakenly estimated Parker's 33-year-old body to be between 50 and 60 years of age. Um, he had a common law wife, Chan Bird, who was the mother of his son Baird. And so there was a interesting divorce proceedings. Dizzy Gillespie actually paid for his funeral arrangements, and so so Parker's actually buried in the Blue Summit Cemetery. So personally, he was riddled with mental health problems and addiction to heroin. Um, there's a story here where his daughter died of cystic fibrosis. He tried to commit suicide in 1954. His daughter was 3 years old when she died of the cystic fibrosis. Um, I think he was institutionalized at one time in California. Uh, yes, so he attempted suicide. Uh, And so died pretty young. Uh, Charlie Parker is, I believe, the image figure that we're looking at for this particular the Boogeyman. And so there's some information here about Yankee Doodle Dandy, and that feather on your hat's a phony because the coolest feather, or ain't you heard, shines on the wing of a jungle bird. I'm not so sure that that isn't maybe a reference to a song called "The Wings of a Bird," which is basically the wings of a dove, uh, love on the wings of a dove. But I also think that jungle's mentioned a couple of times in here, and I think we might actually be getting a link to somebody that might fall from the sky. We're getting a link to somebody that might drown. A jungle bird. We're getting a link to somebody that might drown sometime. And so Charlie Parker's wife's name was Beverly Dolores Berg, which there's a Beverly connection if you like the word Beverly showing up a number of different places. Uh, you might find that one interesting. But yeah, Charlie Parker's who we're talking about. You don't need to look any further for the Boogeyman. The Boogeyman is not a New Orleans um, guy, Louis Armstrong, because Louis Armstrong, Satchmo, he was playing the trumpet, and he wasn't a saxophone player. It's Charlie Parker, folks, and that means you're in the wrong cities. That means you need to look at ornithology and somebody that studied ornithology, somebody that's afraid of birds. I don't think Lucy Ball would dare look at Charlie Parker, being that he's the Yardbird, right? Uh, and so there you go. Hopefully that will help a few people in the secret and understanding what these back of the book images are telling you. And they're basically telling some people that They got it all wrong. You know, it's not the trumpet player. It's a saxophone player. Oh, I guess I should have mentioned that that in that particular one, it also mentioned the Lindy hop, and the Lindy hop is named after Lindbergh, and Lindbergh is the guy that you might notice flew the plane called the Spirit of St. Louis. His name is Charles Lindbergh, and it also says that there's a habit of the Boogie Man is Dixieland, and the Dixie Highway sign will show up later. And yeah, I wish I was in the land of Dixie. Uh, and the word "gone" is um, in this as well, in parentheses. And so uh, I don't know if that's another Gone with the Wind reference here, but he was definitely gone too soon. Um, There, I have a note here that Parker lived in Alphabet City in Tompkins Square when he was in New York. And so, Alphabet City, Tompkins Square might be some information. And I think this line, sweat and cool in a clubfoot step. I think we're going to find that one of these people that these stories are about is going to have a clubfoot. Because this is the second time I've seen the clubfoot mentioned. All right, folks. Hope you have a good day. I'll be back. Maybe do one more of these today.